So now I press recording. So it will be recorded, and yes, to everyone who has registered, I will send out the link afterwards, together with some resource sheet that I've prepared. Again, thank you, Roberta, for reminding me. So you will have the recording to spread with the others or to watch yourself again. Also, if you need to hop off earlier. And please do drop your questions in the chat. We will take them in the end, and I have my assistant Nina Kozhina here as well with us. So in case you want to ask something about leadership, it can be quite a sensitive topic sometimes. And if you want to ask something and us with Johan discuss that, but you don't want to for everyone to see who is asking, you can do it anonymously, and then you just basically message Nina Kozhina. Nina, if you would drop your name here in the chat, or say, yeah, here. Perfect. So you can just message her privately, and she will announce the question towards the end of the discussion of the hour. So that was about the questions. And I think I've mentioned everything. Now I want to go into the leadership topic itself. So Johan, I was thinking that we could cover the 3 parts of leadership, those 3 dimensions: one-to-many, one-to-one, and one. And I thought we'll go in that order. And I thought of introducing one of them, and then we can hop and have our discussion based on our experiences, based on the science that is behind and research that shows how to lead people successfully. And first of all, I actually want to mention this, that I think it's a crucial part for leaders to understand that everyone has mental health. So because for now, we quite often hear this phrase in the negative part when we are unhealthy, but that's the same as the physical health of ours, that we all humans have some health, right? It can be in a good state or not so much. And this year has shown a lot that mental health can be very shaky, right? Because of the situation and disruption that is happening. And I think it's a big part of leadership to actually take care of the mental health of your own and your employees and your colleagues, so that you can succeed in this journey. And I wanted to drop it here just because we can talk about the mental health and the issues with that. But ultimately, we would love you to get to the great mental health state for you and your employees. And we will be discussing some tools and techniques for you to improve the situation that has been disrupted this year. So one-to-many, that's the most typical format or dimension of the leadership that people might be thinking about when we say leadership. And this is when you are a leader of many people, right? You are leading a team, you're leading a group maybe. And I would love to just drop that here, Johan, and give you the stage, and so that you can discuss what have you seen in your experience in leading one-to-many dimension.
In leading many people, I think it's what's changed over the last couple of years is that the leaders need to be, they're more like ambassadors. They need to be passionate about what they're doing, because you need to sell who you are, and you drive your people. You need to be inspiring. It's leading many is not a normal job that you're just leading. It's how you inspire them, how do you get them to understand where you're going, and to see the full picture of where the company or where your department, what the goals are. I think that's a key thing to be when you're leading many, to be that, to do it that way. And if I look a couple of years back, I think in UK and US, you've seen this type of leaders for a long time. They've been very inspiring. They've been more like, when you listen to some of the big CEOs, they're more or less like stand-up comedians. They're very interesting to listen to. They like to have these discussions to a big group of people. When you come to Europe, many of the leaders are, I would say, they're not the same. They're more like facts that want to be, but that's changing now. So now they're becoming the same inspiring people, to addressing and telling them what they think and how they want people to get involved. So I think that's the big trend seen in the last 10, 15 years. And I think young people today really want to have a leader in a company that really believes in what they're doing. You can't hide because it's just a well-paid job, or you like a technology. You need to really be inspiring. You need to live the way you lead, and I think that's something that has changed, which I think is really good. I think young people will really looking forward to this, and they will get more involved in the companies with this type of leaders than the traditional way.
Do you see that it is only the younger people, so generation like me, early 30s, who are paying attention to that? Or is it those who were used to different kind of leadership who are also having a transformation in their mindset and their philosophy of workplace and leadership?
I think it's most ages, but I think it's been young people today. It's even more important because they need to see a purpose. They will not just searching for a job. They want to be involved in something, and then you need to have a leader that really believes in that product and believes in what the company is doing, in order to get them on board. Otherwise, they will probably go somewhere else. And I think other people in different ages they need this as well. And I think it's crucial when I meet a lot of companies, especially if I meet a company which have a leader which not really believes in the product. As an owner or investor, I would never invest in that type of company, or at least I will change that leader. The first thing I will do, because you need to have someone that really believes in what they're doing. Otherwise, it will not happen. So it's crucial for a lot of companies today to have this type of leadership that are inspiring and to get people on board. I can go back.
I think it is. Yeah.
Sorry, I can go back to. I used to work for a big telecom company, and the second day at the new job, I met one of the. He was head of product management, product management, so all new products we were developing. And I met him for 5 minutes, and he was so excited about everything and saw possibilities and how you can use the products and everything. So talk with him in 5 minutes. When I came back, I'm like, I will work 80 hours a week, because he just inspired me what we could do and what we're changing and how we can change the world. So a lot of things he has said get me started to work really hard. And I met this guy was working for a different department, and I met my manager when I came back to my desk, and he saw, okay, but what happened? I'm like, do you know we can do this, and do you know this product will do this and help this type of customers and stuff like that? And they're like, okay, it seems like you have met Dennis. Yeah, I met Dennis. Like, yeah, that's why he's one of the top managers, because he was living it. This was his life, and he was really enjoying and believed in and want to change so many things. And it got me inspired. I was at that point 28 to 27. And a lot of people in that company worked really hard, because we were told to and inspired by the leadership, what we were doing and how we can be the first one to change the behavior of people. So it was really inspiring. And when some of these people left the company, part of the soul in the company left as well. Because then you came back to KPIs, like you need to have these numbers instead of working for a purpose. And I think that's important for a lot of people to have that, to get a leader that can provide that type of information and inspiration.
How do you actually balance that out? Because when you as an investor come in, you do have to look at some numbers, right? Because they don't lie. And you do need to have some data to discuss and so on. But we are emotional beings. So how do you find the balance between the two? Being driven by passion, but also being cold-headed in those areas where you need to be as a leader.
And I think that's always a tough situation, because as a leader, you need to make tough decisions. You need to make hard decisions and that have impact on people. But I think if you look at the bigger picture, that's what you need to do as a leader. You need to, and also for people that are working in a company, to see the big picture, what's happening. And sometimes you need to let people go. It's not personal. You need to do it to save the company. You save other people's jobs. You can't be, and that's part of the job as well. And then you need to have information in order to provide and be very informative on why you're doing it. Because it's not it's not personal. It's, you need to do it to save the company. You need to decide, this is what we need to do. We try to find a new way to for this department or this person or this branch of the company, but it's need to be informative. People need to understand, and I think most people, they will get upset in the beginning, but then they will understand why. And I think that's an important thing for the leaders to provide as well. And on your first question, as an investor, what we look in, I can say 50% is a product, 50% is the leaders. Sometimes if the product it's only 50%. With the right leadership, the product can be 20%, because then you know they will succeed anyway. So leadership is really important for the tech companies that we look at.
Yeah, definitely. And you talked about the firing people or getting people out of the company. And just last week, I talked to one of the CEOs. That's his fifth company at the moment, and this company is 2 years old around. And this was the second time that he had to offboard someone, and we actually needed to move our conversation because of that, because he was fully immersed in running that process. And when we talked, he was like, okay, we actually like we always see that as the failure on both sides. So it's not about the person, or like partly it is the person, but then also it's always partly on our side as a leadership team. So in this case, you said like it was the hiring process where we failed to identify that this person will not have a good fit or not be a good fit for the company. And he was talking about it, how much they actually spend resources on first giving those chances to the person to perform better, to like fit in the culture, whatever is the issue, but then also how much they have spent time on the other employees once this offboard action or decision has been announced, that they had conversations. He, as a leader of the company, had conversations with each of the employees, which is around 20 people at the moment, to explain this has not been like abrupt. The person has been in discussion with us for several months. We had some action plans, and it was just multiple failures of those plans implementation that led to this decision. So please don't be worried about that. This will happen to you, that one day you come to work and you need to leave from the office in the evening with a box of your belongings. This will never happen. So this was really a great example for me of the leadership talking about this, that it's not personal, but also really showing that I am responsible as a leader for you to perform, for you to thrive in this company and to do your job in the best way. And this is also so important to keep in mind when you lead one-to-many, as I said here, that now it transitions to this other dimension of one-to-one, that they're always intersected, right? Because you come with those announcements, and you said about this, that it like whichever decision you need to inform, you need to get people on board. And it's also like, it's both about your passion and your being an inspirational leader, and about explaining the facts and explaining the data behind the decisions, right? But then you need to really take it like one step further and one kind of dive deeper, right? To go into that dimension of one-to-one, to really see that you are having everyone on board throughout the process. So it's not only about those kind of informational meetings or informational messages like newsletters and so on, but it's really about the conversations one-to-one, that you make sure that everything is still aligned between you and the employee and the company strategy and mission and so on.
I don't know exactly the numbers, but I read some years back, or someone told me that in the company you have a big portion of the employees, they are what I call the okay people. They are fine, okay. Then you have the ambassadors, the people that are really driving the company forward. And then you have hopefully a small group, which is the people that want to leave or are not happy at the job. But so you need to spend time on inspiring the ambassadors so they will drive and inspire more people. And then you need to handle the people which don't really want to be there. Yeah. The big, like 80% of the employees they're fine, they're okay. And they don't really want to be, they need to have certain information, but they will never go to become an ambassador, or they will hopefully not go to the other part as well. So you need to just keep them in, have them on with you, but you need to spend time on the two second outcomes of the company in order to move forward. And sometimes we spend too much time on the big okay groups, so that will continue to be okay, instead of spending time on promoting and lifting people that will become even better ambassadors, and will probably take some more of the okay people to be ambassadors, and to inspire the people that want to go somewhere else to stay. So these two groups are important to work with. And then a lot of people, you can work as hard as you want, but they will never go from okay to be an ambassador. They will just be okay and fine. And you just need to realize that this is the way they want to be, and that's how they see at the job. They see it as a job. They just do it for 8 hours a day, and they do a good job. So just maintain them, but don't spend too much time on trying to get them involved, inspire them too much, because they will just continue to be okay.
And I think it's important to really understand that this is also okay to be okay, and see the job as a job and not the purpose of your life or something like this, because it is about the balance. We all have our different personalities, and we do need to have them all represented in the company to actually get to the best level, right? There is a lot of discussion about the diversity and inclusion and how beneficial it is, and how much it contributes to the bottom line for the company, right? But that means that we need to have those people who are very calm. They just come, check in, do their job, they do it in a good way, and you provide them what they need, and as a leader, right? And then you let them be afterwards. You don't have to have everyone as an ambassador, because if you would have a company who has 100% ambassadors, those super passionate people, maybe you don't get that far, because the passion is just in the way for you to think clearly and to get more things done. And I'm not talking about that ambassadors are just talkative people who don't get anything done. It's just a different role, and we do need to have those different roles in the company. So it's very important to understand the value of this diversity, and as a leader to support it, and actually to create an environment where everyone can thrive in their own way and not in your way necessarily.
Some years back, I was helping building a consultancy company, and when we were trying to recruit people, if you're a small consulting company, you want to get people that want to be involved. So some of the consultants we talked to, when we told, if you come to us, we will have 2 conferences a year, we'll have different afterworks, you will meet people, you can get involved how the company will be set up, you will be involved in the business. And a lot of people like that, but then you also meet people that, okay, then it's not for me. I just want to have a job where I am 8 hours a day, do a good job, but then I want to go home with my family and don't want to be involved in shaping the company or meet my colleagues outside work. I just want to work somewhere for 8 hours, do a good job, and I would say it was a bigger portion of people I met that had that mindset than people that want to be involved and to be an ambassador and to be part of something. Some people just said, okay, it's fine. I want to do my 8 hours and then go home. And I have friends outside. I don't need more friends. I don't need to be involved in this job in more than what I'm doing on a daily basis. And it's for me, I can't do anything without any passion. I need to believe in it. I need to be. I'm living whatever I'm doing, so I need to be involved. For me, sometimes it's quite good to meet these people, because then I realize, what if sometimes it could be good to be just to have a job and do it good for 8 hours and then relax. But it's so it's, even if I'm the opposite, more or less, I would say it's good to have this conversation with these people, because and we can learn from each other, and it's good to understand how they think and how they behave, because they have so many other different qualities that you can use. So it's good to at least to understand how they work and how they behave, because it's could be really inspiring as well, because they will collect the energy from other things.
Yeah, definitely. And you've had experience of both being parts of big companies as a leader or an employee earlier in your career, and also having those small companies where you have the luxury of choosing, right, whom you take in based on how they fit into the culture. If we go back to the times when you were part of big companies, sometimes it happens that you, for example, get a team, right? You inherit a team that maybe not necessarily looks like the one that you would imagine in an ideal world. How do you handle that? Because it's not like you can fire 80%, for example, just because they don't fit your vision of where the company should go or your department should go. And then you just refill the team because of the knowledge, and also there are so many factors here, right? And also those people are there for a reason. They do contribute in some way. How do you manage, or what would you suggest in those situations to really be a good inspirational leader to everyone on the team?
Yeah, that's always tough if you inherit a team which you haven't picked yourself. First of all, someone else has picked a team and they're probably good, but sometimes some leaders feel that they want to create their own team. So first of all, that could be tough for anyone. Second thing, if the team is not performing, then could it be quite tough. Then you need to identify who's doing what and who's not doing anything, or who doesn't have the right experience or knowledge of what you want to do. Because based on my experience, sometimes you have changed the organization in a different way, so the competence within a group is not needed anymore, or some of the people do not fit into the new strategy, and then you need to identify which one does do fit into what you want to do, or which one you need to do something else with, and that's always difficult, especially if you have a team which is half the team fits into the new strategy, half the team doesn't, because then you will have 50% of the people are enjoying and really happy going to work, and the other half will bring them down because they don't understand, they don't want to be there, and so then you need to make the decision on how to handle it, if you can convert them into becoming, if they have the right competence, can you convert them mentally to want to be there and want to stay, or do you need to let some people go or to transfer them to a different department? And you can't wait too long, because people are not happy at work will bring down people that really enjoy their job. And that could be one person who doesn't fit into the organization, or very sad about being there, or want to be somewhere else, can bring down 10 people. So you need to be very quick on how, and it's a tough decision, and on how to identify and also to handle that person or that group of people, because they will bring the rest down. It's tougher to get them involved and to turn them around and to relocate them to something else, and that's always been a tough situation. You will try in the beginning to get them on board, and you need to also realize, and it's, as a leader, it's always the difficult thing is that when you talk to people as a leader, people are protecting their jobs, so they will be inspiring and very happy and talking about different possibilities and options. But what's happening when you leave the room, what they say to the colleagues, because then they can turn. And I'm not saying people are, they're protecting their job. They probably realize that I need to be in a certain way. I need to tell my manager that I'm very looking forward to this, even though they hate it. And it's what they say to the colleagues. You need to talk to people within the group and to understand how the group work together. And because that's also tough thing to realize. Sometimes you think the person that really enjoys the jobs the most is the one that want to go somewhere else, because they're in a different, behave in a different way when they talk to their managers or leaders, and that's something you need to be aware of as well as a leader, and to handle.
And here kind of the coaching part of me starts having a lot of thoughts, like, you never know what's happening in the person's life, why they are behaving the way they behave and acting the way they act. And there, what I'm saying about the coaching part of me is the curiosity part, because I'm always willing to understand the other part better. I'm just like, I really ask a lot of questions. Where might this behavior or this view to the world and so on come from? How can I explain it? It doesn't mean support or approve. It's really about understanding the other part, because then it's so much easier to find a better solution for the win-win scenario. But to summarize this first one-to-many dimension, in the other part of it, we talk about the new reality, new virtual reality we are living in. How do you manage people, or how do you actually lead people? And especially when you talk about this, that sometimes it's not the best constellation in the team, or maybe you do have the best team and who are very all very aligned. It's a very diverse team who really contribute into each other. There is a great synergy. So whichever scenario, but now you put this in a virtual bubble. How do you manage that in a successful way?
In the way the companies are, the situation we're in now, it's very difficult. Because some people you need to meet them. They are inspiring and leaders when you meet them face to face or in real life. To lead and to inspire people through Zoom or other online tools, it's different, and it's I think that's where a lot of managers will have a challenge, been challenging for the upcoming month and years, how to lead, because it's also different when you have a big group, you see them every day, you have the feeling of the office, how things are happening, and you meet people. You don't meet people online randomly. So that's also, it's a big challenge. I don't know the exact answer, but I think it will be tough for many of these people to really become inspiring through online. And it's just thinking back, I worked for a big company before, and they tried to get their CEO to become more involved, to share it, because it was a global company, so that he had every month an hourly interview where he presented what was happening within the company. But every time they had this call or this online, it felt like they have run into his bedroom, woke him up, thrown to the wall, and then asked him a lot of questions, because he was so afraid. He didn't want this at all. He looked so afraid, and he just read what he was saying wrote it down and also read it up, and it was terrible. And I think it's also, some people will really like this and enjoy doing it, and some people will feel it will be very strange for. But this will be interesting to see in the upcoming months and years, to see how companies change, because this will be really important for them, how they lead the organization through online and to the way we work today. And even this is not just right now, this will be go on for a long time. People will be working remote for a long time, and so you need to lead remotely, and so that's going to be interesting to see how they do it, because it's going to be really tough. I don't have a clear answer on how to do it, but it's going to be interesting to follow and to see how they do it.
It's very interesting for me to observe it and also have conversations with different companies at the moment and see what kind of initiatives they are taking to keep the culture. And as Lou is writing here about it, it's really challenging, or like the changing the work culture, right? It's about adjusting it to our new virtual reality and doing it in a healthy way. And it's amazing to see that some companies actually are succeeding with that. And manage to show the support, show the presence of the leaders, and also create this, or continue having this sense of community, if we talk about the one-to-many dimensions. And I mentioned the resource sheet in the beginning of this hour, and I actually will send it out to all of you, where I've just collected different initiatives, what kind of things you can do as a leader in your company to keep the communities feeling, because it's not only about getting the work done together, it's about for people feeling that they belong. Sure, there are people who want to just check in, not being seen by anyone and touched by anyone and talked to during the day, get the work done and then leave and do things in their personal life. But most of us do need to feel seen, appreciated, heard, and for that, and this feeling of the togetherness. And how do you do it in the virtual reality? So some of the examples, like what you in one of our conversations, Johan mentioned, the team workouts, right? There is this please.work platform where you can actually do workouts together. And then you can also create online community and talk about mental health, for example. And as I said, in the resource sheet, you'll find a lot of those platforms, organizations that can help you with those initiatives within your company, creating some kind of resource group, doing some group meditation, maybe taking some virtual coffee, like what my husband, he's working in the university as a researcher and lecturer. And since the quarantine started, or the lockdown, as lockdown is got in Iceland, they just set up, okay, 1 p.m. every day, it's a coffee time. And sometimes he jumps in and there was no one there. So he just kept working for half an hour, just sipping his coffee. And if someone pops in, they just have a conversation. So having those time, like having those virtual places like a coffee machine, right? Or the water cooler, somewhere where people can really run into each other and discuss things. And of course, they discussed a lot of Corona. Of course, they discussed a lot of how to do their exams for the students in the with the new regulations. But then they would also discuss their family time, like personal things and so on. And what you talked about with the leaders getting on board, Johan, I thought about one of the leaders whom some people here joining in, like Anders, Jan Inge Eliasson. He was a very good example for me from Volvo Cars times when I was there, because he would every Monday send out a newsletter to everyone in the department. And there was always 3 paragraphs plus one short, like one sentence, one fourth. And the first paragraph would always be about his own private life. So he would discuss what he's done on the weekend, how his family is doing, and so on and so forth. That really gave this feeling that it's okay to talk about the things like that are outside of the work context and so on. And then he would talk about what is going on, like what is going on at the moment, what is planning on the planning ahead part of the department. And then the fourth was the kind of the golden star. So he was also talking to people around, right, in the corridors and so on. And he was keeping his eyes and ears open to hear who is doing extra well, who is committing, who is showing up extra for the employees, for the project, for the product. And he was really acknowledging those people and showing them. And there were so many occasions when he came up to me and he said, Anna, we appreciate you. I hear this and that about you from the others. And this shows that people care as leaders. So this was a great example for me, how you can do it in a very simple way. You don't need to complicate things. You just really need to keep your eyes and ears open, I think.
And I think, based on what you're saying, also the onboarding, if you hire a lot of people that they're working remotely, you need to have a good process of how you onboard them and give them the part of the company culture. Because that's something you can't really get from working from home. Yeah. And that's also important to have a good way of communicating in between the employees, but also get the company culture going. And one thing is to have these virtual coffee breaks, walks, different things you do together. And I think that's also, I think a lot of companies need to, since people are not going to be in the office, they need to have, like some companies used to have, or probably still have, is like 2-3 weeks when they onboard people within the company. Because if you have been really onboarded in a company, you've been involved in everything, then you can work from home. And I just moved back from Spain a couple of months ago, and in Barcelona, a lot of young people working for companies all over Europe. But the common thing is that they have been working for the company for a while or been onboarded in that company. So even though they lived in Barcelona, worked for a Swedish or Danish or UK company, they knew about the culture. So they felt part of it, even though they worked from a different part of Europe.
Mm.
I think that's also key to get them really get people on board and to feel the company culture, and then you can work from home. You met your colleagues, you understand what the company is all about, and you have a good platform where to find the information and how to contact people. Because I think, as you mentioned, the coffee machine break is so important for people,
especially in Sweden with the fika culture.
the fika culture, and it's to talk to your colleagues. And that's also, if you look what many of the companies are doing now, they're rebuilding the offices, and because they realize people are not going to be in the office, they're going to be in the office working. So what they're rebuilding them to is to have like a hotel lobby. It's a place to have meetings. It's a place where you have your coffee, talk to your colleagues, you discuss certain topics. So you be there for 1 or 2 days a week just to hang out with your colleagues. You're not there to sit with your computer to work. You have a meeting, you meet talking with your colleagues, or so it's more of a social thing.
Social,
yeah, and then you can build a culture through that office. And I think I have, since based on the situation now, I haven't visited any of these new offices yet. I've read about them, I've seen them, seen pictures of them, but I'm really looking forward to visit one of them to really understand how it works. Because I think I think that would be a key for many companies as well, to when people come to the office, they talk to each other, and then they can go back and work from home for 3 or 4 days and be efficient, because they have this 1 day a week when they meet people. They get the information about the company culture and get the information where the company is going. So that will be enough. Otherwise, it will just take up their time when they could do other things. So as long as you have it scheduled and you know different ways of how to communicate, and also have the virtual meetings with a coffee just to meet people, meet your colleagues.
Yeah, exactly. And Marie is writing here about that it's so important to really get online with those one-to-ones, for example, now that they have been ignored in a way. And I wanted to mention that if we kind of transition into one-to-one dimension, that research is showing that the most successful leaders, those who are seen in the 360 degree assessments as the most successful leaders, they get the success through, among other things, conversations with people one-to-one with their employees. And those most efficient conversations are 15 minutes long on average. So it's not about those really long performance reviews, or that like you as a leader don't have to be scared if you have a team of 8, 10, 15 people that you need to spend the whole week in one-to-one conversations to have everyone on board and keep the mental health of people on the all right level and so on. It's just super important to understand that, okay, actually we can do it. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than really check in with people. And I, for example, I'm coaching people one-to-one. It's both within the corporate world and individual clients. And with some people with whom I understand that will work, we actually turn our conversations into walk. So, and I have clients all over Europe. So far, it's only on our continent, but we do have those walking coaching sessions. And that's the same that you can do as a leader, right? Have those 2 hours per week, or I don't know, 4 hours per week, spread out. Take half an hour per day, and take 2 calls. Go on a walk for half an hour and call 2 of your employees and check in with them. How are you doing? What kind of support do you need from me? How do you feel for real? Not just how are you doing, but I want to hear. Just tell me, and really give space to the people. And of course, you don't have to push. And if they say I'm fine, and you feel like, yeah, they are fine, you don't have to push further, like, but how are you? But how are you? And how are you? You know, it's if they feel all right, then, and you sense that they mean it, you don't have to discuss that, but you can just talk about something very casual. But really giving this space, because people don't have your room to knock on the door off and just go in and say, hey, I need support with this at the moment, or hey, at the moment I have 2 kids at home because the school is closed, I'm going nuts, can we adjust my schedule? And because of people not feeling well and because of them being overwhelmed, it might not be obvious for them to come out to you as a leader to discuss that and ask for help. And generally for high performers, quite often it is just difficult to ask for help. So you as a leader in one-to-one dimension, I think it's important to really be aware that you need to give the space. And of course, it's up to people how they use it and whether they use it at all. But that's what you can do on your side.
As you mentioned, I think it's important to have these calls without any topic. The topic is just to talk to each other, because if you have a topic like every week we're going to follow up, how do you feel, then it will be different. Then people prepare something, but just have these conversations to talk to each other. I think it's so important, and it's because when you are in the office, you can. It takes you 5 seconds when you meet the person how they feel. You can read, you can feel the tension in a room as well. If there's 5 people in a room, something is wrong, you can feel it in 5-10 seconds that something is wrong. Then you need to figure out what is the reason something is wrong. And you need to, I used to, when I was CEO of a company, I used to travel in between our offices, just to work in the office without any particular reason. Just to be part of the office for one day, for then people can come up to you and talk to you, and you can see how they feel, and you can discuss things as well, without any specific topic or an hourly meeting. You can have that conversation. But it's tougher when you're working from home. So it's important that you have these calls, I think, to discuss with people, to just make sure they feel right, and also for them to complain about things that are upsetting them without any solution to the problem. Just to let them to just share whatever.
Ventilate.
Ventilate on what's on their shoulders. So I think that's really important now. Because it's also a lot tougher in when you're working remote to handle this. But it's so important. And I think that you have to give them a call every now and then to put it, if you're a leader, just to say every week or depending on how many people you have in your team. So every week I should spend 5-10 minutes calling them to just make sure everything is fine, without any purpose, and randomly to just give them a call to check out how things are, if they're fine. Because it's otherwise you will lose it. People will be it's going to be tough. It's important.
It is, and especially when we're locked in the home. Like I started working from home before the lockdown just because of the nature of my business. So for me, it hasn't been a big change. But now after, I don't know, 9 months or so like this, I feel this. Like I am missing this social part. I am missing someone checking on me, like, how are you doing? What's up? And so on. So it is really about showing and giving this, like showing that you care and you see people and you remember about them, even though you don't see them in front of your face physically every day, that you are still their leader and you still want to support them, and you still see this responsibility of yours of providing this environment for them, even in their home walls, for them to thrive in the work that they're doing. And yes, Saga, I've seen your comments about the comfy chairs to take home, and I've been thinking about it as well. I haven't heard that many companies doing this when the office is closed, like giving the chance for people to come and get some things to establish the home office. And I think that's tragic because those resources are available in the office. And of course, it's might be a headache to fix it all. It's that people get it and then might return it when needed and so on. But I do think you're bringing up a good point here, and very important point, that we as leaders should also talk about not only about the mental health and well-being of people, but also about the physical environment. How can we as leaders support our employees to feel good working in home?
And again, you mentioned something that within the office, you can, as a company, provide them with certain tools, because that's your facility. You can give them a desk, you can give them a specific chair. But working from home, you don't really know how they are, what the working space looks like. And then you will have the physical issues coming in a couple of months. So it's you need to follow up. You need to, and I think I'm quite surprised that not more any of the big companies, since they're giving the option to work from home or telling people to work from home, they should get involved in providing a good workstation for them at home as well. So that's really important for them as well. Otherwise, they will not feel well. It's not just about how they feel mentally, but it's also physically how they work, and to have the right tools and the right chairs and desks as well. That's also part of the company brand. If you're a company, you need to build in your brand with the employees as well. You can provide them this. So that's going to be, I think, crucial also in the long run. They need to get involved in how you work from home. But it's but leadership one-to-one, it's tough. It's you need to get them to relax, even though you're on a call, to understand how they feel, and that's also important now, and to find a way to do this online.
Yeah.
Also,
but again, it doesn't have to be so complicated, and that's the thing. And if you feel like you are not feeling like, if you don't feel comfortable with those conversations and leading them virtually, and leading your employees virtually, ask for help. When I mentioned the help, it's really not only about your employees asking for your help with what they need, it's also about you getting, if you're not the who can help you with like professional therapists and those kind of organizations that actually can have virtual sessions with your employees, so they can offload you with one-to-one dimension a bit with those things that you can't handle, you feel, especially because now so many people do not feel well, right? And some people are on the verge of the clinical depression just because of the situation, whether they are locked at home alone and they really miss the social part of their life, or they are locked at home with suddenly their partner and kids and they need to handle all those things. So it might very well be that you are not the person who has to take all of this on your own shoulders and fix it all. You just need to be the one who sees the need. I've just seen that there is a bit of connection problem with my internet, but you need to see, like, your responsibility is to show that the support is there, and to find the ways to provide the best support to your employees and yourself. And there we're kind of transitioning into the one dimension, because it is about how you lead yourself, the self-leadership. Because whichever company, however good the company is, they can't be better than their leaders. So you need to really take care of yourself as a leader, especially in these tough times, to make sure that you walk the talk, but also that you are the leader in a sustainable way, because you got there for a reason. You are in that position for a reason because you're passionate about what you do, you're passionate about who you work with. And if you want to continue with that in many years to come, it's super important to take care of yourself and really ask for help, reach out, whether it's your leadership team, your managers, the board of directors. If you are, for example, a CEO and founder in a startup, I have talked to the investors, the venture capitalists, who are like, we want coaches for our CEOs. And they have been connecting me with the companies in their portfolio, because they say, we want to build this relationship for people to feel well and continue building their businesses because we invested in them and because we believe in them. But they don't bring all the dirty laundry to us, and we want them to have it somewhere. This is also a sign of leadership for me. They do take responsibility for the well-being of the people who they invest in, right? And this is just so important to show those different dimensions and to be aware of them, that you yourself as one is also the part of the leadership. And it's an important dimension to take care of in order to be successful in the virtual reality, in all the dimensions. And now I just kind of swiped through the third dimension just because we're running out of time. But Johan, please let me know what your thoughts about are about on this dimension.
Well, I totally agree with you. There is help. You can get a coach. I think that's important for many leaders, that to understand that they're not on their own. They can get help. And also I think when you mentioned the investors and how they look at the startups, the people within the startup is crucial. One of the biggest values are the employees within the company. So you need to make sure that they are happy, they work well, and that they feel well. So it's important that the leader within the company handle it. Because and if you look at the startup, sometimes the CEO or the founder of a startup they are very involved in the product development, then maybe not the leader itself. So then it's, as an investor, you need to make sure that they change to get a leader for the company, not just a lot of people that are technically interested, more than leading the company to the goal that you want them to receive or to achieve. And so it's leadership is important for any company, and it's I think it's important for people to understand that they're not on their own. There is help that can help and they shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. And one of my former managers for many years back, he told me that try to lead in a way that you want to be led yourself, and act the way to your colleagues or employees in a way that you want them to. Do you want from a leader yourself? So now I try to do that. Maybe I'm not the best example in many cases, but it's try to be yourself and to learn and to listen to other people, and then adopt and change, because everyone is not exactly the same as yourself. But to understand and listen to a coach, or to just to adopt to what people are saying and change your way, because it's always a developing phase when being a leader, to work with your team or your company, and you're learning things every day, more or less. So it's and not to be afraid of doing mistakes. I think that's a key also for rather call them one too many than too few to talk to people. I think we mentioned now. I think that's
definitely.
agree with you.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Or...
No, I'm just saying. What you mentioned before, I agree with what you're saying, and it's. I think it's important for people and leaders to get help when needed, and if they don't really know exactly how to do it, ask someone professional to guide them. And I think it's also important for leaders to understand that they're not on their own. There are other people that can help them to discuss and to share information. So sometimes you are on your own. Of course, you're responsible, but to get help outside or with other people, to talk to them and discuss how to handle this, and listen to what other people are doing, especially in these times. What is working, what is not working, and there's not one thing, one solution that fits all, but to adopt it to whatever your situation in, what type of company, what type of employees you have, so you find a way that works with them.
Yeah, being flexible and being in this learning mindset, right? The being open to learning and evolving, as you said, making mistakes. It's crucial for the success of you as a leader, and showing this human part of you, not pretending to know it all and be the guru in everything. I think this is also an important part for your employees and your people to follow you in a good way. Because if they see a human who is caring and who is open to show that, okay, I don't know it all, but I really am willing to figure out this part because it's important for me and us as a company, then you're also opening up for people to make mistakes and try and come to you and ask for help and so on. So with that, I would love to wrap up. I would love to continue more, but we need to take a break for a month until the next one. But Johan, would you like to tell people how they can find you, so that in case they want to contact you, and what kind of help you could provide for people.
Yeah, I can do a quick. If you want to come in contact with me, it's I want on LinkedIn, Johan Danielsson. But also, if you're interested in following what's happening on the market from startups, or if you're from a startup yourself, you want to expand your business, come to johawk.com or follow us on LinkedIn, and we will be happy to have a discussion with you and see how we can help you expand your business in Europe and then further to US. So, and also if you just want to keep track of what's happening on the technology wise in all different areas, just follow us on LinkedIn.
Great. Yeah, johawk.com or johawk on the
johawk.com. And thank you for
and thank you so much, Johan, for
this, for being able to participate in this conversation with you.
I enjoyed it, and I hope that people enjoyed it as well. Let us know in the comments. I see some. I'm just trying to scroll through the comments, and I see a question from Lou, who asked whether you, Johan, have created a health check of the work environment, and if so, how? Whether you have created a new strategy for this with working from home.
The health check, there's a couple of solutions that you can use in order to track how people feel if they're stressed. So I think that there are a couple of Swedish ones, and I think there are international ones as well. And I think they're really good. I think it's a good way of company to track how people feel, even though that in combination with a personal call will be the best way. But I work with a few of them, and I think they're really good. And I think that's good way just to make sure that you, I know some you need to every day track how you feel. You push like if you're happy, sad, whatever. I think find the right frequency is important for a company to, so you're not annoying people more than getting them to participate.
Yeah. Good. Then there are also some resources in the resource sheet that I'm referring to that will maybe give you some ideas of how to do it, because there are some companies that helping with this initiative of actually creating this health checks for the employees. So there are some portals there where people can go through the tests and see and get the customized AI backed solutions for creating your routines to work from home in a successful and healthy way. So this you can also find in the email, in the follow-up email that we'll send out. We had also two more questions that were sent privately to Nina. One was referring to the OK people discussion. Is it worth the effort to turn more of the OK people into ambassadors? If yes, how do I judge whom to pick?
Sorry, I didn't. Once again.
Is it okay? Is it worth the effort to turn more of the OK people into ambassadors? And if yes, how do I judge whom to pick?
I think it could have a value to get some of the, because there will be some people in between OK and being ambassadors. And you will find them quite easily, because they're the one that needs to be a little bit more motivated and then to get on board. But I think it's worth getting them to understand which one are on the line, even though it's going to be quite tough. But if I had to pick between getting more people going from OK to ambassadors instead of spending my time on people who are not happy, and to solve that issue, I would rather go in that direction.
Going rather in the direction of OK towards ambassadors.
No, I'd rather go to support the people that don't want to be there. Either to let go or to get them to become OK or to become ambassadors, because they will bring down more people. If one person can bring down 10 people, one disappointed person can really take down a department by being not want to be in the office at all. But you can you need to solve that, and then to identify and motivate ambassadors and to attract more. But one person can't involve the rest of the department if one is really don't want to be there and so disappointed with everything. You need to handle that person first.
Yeah, and as you said, you need to be quick with that and find those solution, whichever the solution is, just so that you don't really get too far with the environment for the whole team. That's a very good point, Johan.
It's also discussion to see how in what level they are. So it's
yeah, great. Then I'm going through comments here. People are thinking, and then from Olaf, he's saying he's suggesting you to contact, I guess. Låt oss höras. Du är i Stockholm. So that was a message to you, I suppose. Thank you so much, everyone. We got a bit over time, but I hope that it was valuable for you, those extra 5 minutes as well. I just would love to let you know that please contact us on LinkedIn if we're not connected yet. And if you have any questions on going deeper with the discussion that we had today, please let me know. I'm happy to support you and your company, you as a leader and your leadership team. Just let me know. Reach out on LinkedIn or reply to the email that we'll be sending out, and I'll be happy to reply to you and get on a connect call or a strategy call and just discuss the possibilities to work together. And the last note is that the next webinar will be on December 8th, and I'll have an amazing coach with me, Anna Liebel, a good friend of mine who is super passionate about finding the good leadership team and like to bring the best of the people, and both as a leader and the employee. And also she has amazing insights in the intercultural, cross-cultural communications, and we will just discuss a lot of those issues. And we'll include the save the date in the follow-up email, and then you will be able to get more details later on in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Johan, for your time and your insights and sharing with us. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, me too.
Have a beautiful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.